What's up, guys? Welcome. Time to talk about a little bit about Hearthstone and the current year of Hearthstone and the failed 10-year anniversary failure. So, as we all know, Blizzard has been dropping the ball this whole year. They've decided to remove boards. They've decided to remove other in-game content that normally is there, and they've been going hard into creating expensive content. So for Ragnaros, they said I couldn't build a board for Perils in Paradise because of this crazy Ragnaros board thing they made, which who cares? That's a horrible thing. Should not be happening. So we're going to break down some of the things. We're going to compare the health of the meta this year, how the cards have affected everything, compare it to the year of the wolf and the year of the hydra, and kind of see what everything was at. So let's jump right into it. So this year, the year of the Pegasus, we have Showdown the Badlands, Titans one, we have the music one, the Festival of Legends, and then we have, the beginning of this year was the Whizbang's Workshop, and then we had Perils in Paradise, and now we have the Great Dark Beyond. So the Great Dark Beyond has been an absolute failure. So I guess it came out at the beginning of the month. It's been 2 weeks without any sort of balancing. The decks in the game, it's just rogues playing by themselves, shamans playing by themselves. The starships are stupid. No one really uses them. People start building them, and some of them are cool. I mean, I guess Death Knight can kind of do it pretty well, and Druid a little bit, but rogues is pretty bad. Haven't seen that many hunters. Demon hunters is okay, but mostly the ones that use it can use it pretty well, but they're surviving on other things. Everything's just aggro. Mage elemental is super annoying, super boring to play against, super boring to play. It's very aggro-centric. They, instead of taking other archetypes or assisting kind of mid-range or late-game style play, they basically just made way more flooding the board or asymmetrical play where you just shovel a bunch of meteors in your deck and just blow up your opponent without them even playing, and then they have to go wide board, but then they go wide board, the meteors just kill them anyway. They can just split in so many. So I guess I just want to talk about the few classes that are on top. I mean, I guess the whole thing, I'm right now, I've been between Diamond, Platinum. I played the whole way through to the Diamond, but just, it's been boring. I was hopeful for the Great Dark Beyond. It looks cool. Librams suck. A lot of the stuff that we'll talk about today, though, are getting buffed or nerfed. So I'll talk about that in another video. But just to get into it, the Librams came out bad. Priest doesn't really have anything except for Mark's little thing in Wild that he does. It's fun. But I guess you could do it in Standard as well. But let's see, the Demons for Warlock, you can kind of get it to work, but you're just dead from all the opponents that are running Quasar Rogue. Quasar Rogue is the stupidest thing. I don't understand why anyone would choose to give the class that can change and shuffle so much and draw so much and destroy things for free and just do stuff. Give them a way to shuffle everything into their deck. Discount it by 3. More mana cheat is not what works, Blizzard. We've known this so many times. We do this all the time. Someone at Blizzard must love rogues so much, because every expansion since like the beginning of the game, they've been able to do such crazy things that no one else can do, and they can steal a little bit of everything, and it's just like, how? Them, Druid, and like Priest used to be a lot more broken, but it's better now. Mages usually gets a lot of broken stuff. They got broken stuff this time. But Quasar Rogue is a failure. It's Starship stuff, not so much, but it looks like they're going to get a buff for it. Next, we do the Elemental Mage. I mean, to be fair though, that one's a little bit of a budget one, so free-to-play players can kind of play it. I mean, they just need the Legendary and then some of the new cards, but that's a budget deck, which is kind of good, but like, it's a boring thing to play against. You just flood the board, give everything fire spell damage, then you add more fire spells, and then you get that fire spell that does damage to everything, and it's with that elemental, the volcano one. So there's a full board of volcano +1, so it's 7 spell damage to it, 2 cost of 2 to the face. 14 damage, and then they all attack, and then the game's over. So that's stupid. Then we have the Shaman one, where Shaman has all these ways to shuffle in so many meteor or asteroids into your deck. They have that spell that can just search for a meteor, and then like if it's the only other spell besides them, you just infinitely, and then they can keep spell bursting in and doing the plus damage. It's dumb. You just like hope that it's not one of them, and then you play against it, and it's dumb. And then there's the other big decks, but I guess people are complaining that Starship is weak to Reno, but it's like, Reno doesn't get a second cast anymore. You can't easily get a copy of it. I mean, there's still Fizz, but how often are you getting that? People aren't doing that. No one's really playing Reno. And the effect that it does it's strong, but like, it's one turn, and all these people just still snowball back. Like, yeah, Brand Bronzebeard, the minor brand warrior, ruined the enjoyment of the other Highlander classes for the last year, but like it's horrible. So Death Knight's got all these new cards that they added that are kind of bad, but their Starship is decent with all this stuff. They get the Airlock is a good card they added, and the only counterplay to Shaman and stuff is Death Knight's Plagues, which playing Plagues in late stages of 2024 is pretty boring because you got to play it all back in the day. The fun deck though is the 8 Hands Beyond, just destroying the opponent's whole game plan and then playing it. But still, both counterplay to these decks is Death Knight, and like it's kind of boring to keep always playing Death Knight if you want to enjoy playing the meta. Demon Hunter just has a lot of aggro ones. The Reno one that I've been playing has been pretty good. The Crewmates, the Among Us stuff, it works, but it's too slow right now. It has a buff coming up, so we'll talk about that another one. But right now, Death Knight not in the best spot. You can still play around with the demons and stuff because you get the benefits, and then like the portal goes well, but everything else pretty slow right now. Druid, they have a good Starship one. They just have this super big cheesy infinite armor buff and taunt thing going right now with Hydration Station. And then they just have Aziliacs and Starship, and then Starship pieces and all that. It's all +6 armor, so they just keep doing that infinitely. And then it's a ramp one, so that one works for them, but it's annoying to play against unless you're playing a Highlander, and they have their Taurus as well, so that's that one. Next is Hunter. They have some new control-y tools to try to make their Starship work. Kind of works, but you don't really see that many people playing it. They're like a weird spot that their decks aren't as fun, but they still work enough, but people aren't really playing them. Next is Mage. We talked about that. Just the Elemental Mages is so dumb, and all the Elemental Fire Mage. Like, they have so many good fire spells now. I mean, the pool is small enough that you get consistently the ones that you want. It's pretty crazy. And then they have, what is it? Supernova. Don't really see that many people using it, but the other fire spells you see them use all the time. Where is it? It's the 6 cost one. Oh, 5 cost. Solar Flare. That one. That one's just dumb. You just keep printing it with those other ones and the fire from Sauron. Then Paladin sucks right now. The Highlander doesn't really have much good effect. I mean, you can try to, but it's not that good. All the Librams kind of suck. The one that you just keep getting back, it's not that good. Because your hand space is just so full of it, and then the discounts are only 2 things. I mean, the sword does it twice, but the sword is so weak. And then the Draenei that has it, he's kind of sucks too. He doesn't have taunt or anything, so he's just kind of useless. The only reason why the other Librams work so well, I mean, it's not the only reason, but they had a cheap starting hand one that discounts it, and then they had a taunt one that could discount it, and then their cheapest one is 2 mana, so you could keep doing it, which you can get it again now, but you have to have hand space to get 3 new Librams, so it's tough. So that's their position. Priest, they have some decent random ones, but not many people are playing. The Timewinder Zarimi, still pretty broken, so if you do different decks with that, you can get off cool combos. And like Timewinder Zarimi with the Gorgon Zormu, by the time you play enough dragons, it's already probably turn 10, and you survive long enough, You just play Orban Zormu's minions and Time Winder Zarimi, and then you wait, go another turn, and then boom, you have 3 10/10s and Zarimi, which is usually 30 plus damage. So you're pretty much good. Other than that, they don't have much. I mean, they always have good control, but like Zarimi stuff is what they're doing still that I've seen. Rogue, we already talked about the stupid Quasar. It's getting a nerf though, so that's good. We don't really talk about it too much. And then they also just do the big swords and whatever. Rogue's just dumb. It's strong, but it's just dumb. Shaman, same thing. It's in a dumb state right now. No one's playing the Highlander one. Everyone's playing Asteroids. There isn't any other archetypes for them right now. There was the Pirates for a little bit, but people seem to not be playing it as much. And then also the Razzle Dazzler doesn't seem to be hitting it that much. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but maybe people are starting to play it again. But once it got nerfed again to its original cost, it seems that people stopped playing Razzle Dazzler. And then Warlock, people have been doing Pain Warlock still, but not as common. Their Starship is in a bad place as well, but you can still do it. Doesn't seem to be too good, but it works enough. I mean, it's getting a buff. There's a bunch of cards that are getting a buff. And then it's Demon Package. It works enough, but everything just kind of clobbers it. So it's strong, but not strong as it needs to be. Warrior, Brand Warrior is still really good. You just get this stupid exploding guy, Boom Master, or whatever his name is, and all those other guys. But now you at least have counterplay with deleting your deck and turning it into a portal with Kill Jaden. But yeah, Warrior does all that. And then that new Hostile Invader card for them is just, it's busted. Like what? How do you have a 5-cost card that has deals 6 damage to all minions? I mean, it's not completely busted, but it is annoying. And then the Draenei package right now is pretty weak, but I think it's going to get some help. Once some of these other things are toned down, hopefully it opens up a whole new cabinet. But back to the year 10 failure. If it was a 10-year anniversary for Hearthstone, back when the original Hearthstone team was made, or even when they had Scholomance out, when Demon Hunter first came out, or when it was the Year of the Dragon, like that was very high energy. They made single player content, they made the games, they made the cool cinematics. The cinematics are gone now. They don't care about the game, they just want to make the money. They make these extra mini sets, kill each set and make the meta just warp to them each time. Like, it's brutal. All the cards from every mini set is basically all that's playable for the next year. So they removed the boards, which, how hard is it really to make that? They say it takes so much extra programming. Like, you have your Blizzard, your Activision, like, you're a huge company. You can allocate people to do this. These people aren't being productive enough to do it. Like, I don't understand why this, like, it's a board. You make it have 4 or 5 secrets, and then that's it. It's more of an aesthetic than it is anything else. And they'll say, oh, it takes so much time to think of it, blah, blah. Like, you literally had a vacation place with all these locations be the easiest one to make. Now there's a space one, and they don't do that too. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They've spent all this time, like, yo, our resources we're working on Ragnaros and all these signature cards we want you guys to get. Like, yeah, the signature cards are cool, but, like, now they're becoming less rare. This whole set, Great Dark Beyond, is like half the cards are signatures. And like that's what they did instead of making the game balanced or making a board. Or making even like a cinematic trailer. Like the songs, they used to do the songs. How many people really work on that? 12 probably, maybe more. But like more or less, how many people do you really want to be collaborating on a song? It's just going to get too diluted. Same with all these other things. So they should be trying to figure that out. Then for the gifts they've given us 4 cards. They gave us Hearthstone Brew, the Avatar of Hearthstone, then the gifts, and then the new one for Warcraft. So the Warcraft one is kind of fun, but all the gifts kind of made some classes more broken than the others. Then like you give Warrior another board clear, you give Shaman another Hex. I mean, Shaman's one's not that broken, but the board clear for Warrior, like, that's insane. They have so many board clears. And then everyone else's gift that people don't really use. Maybe Death Knight, but not really. No one else does it. Then we get the Champions of Azeroth. That one's kind of cool. I don't really see too much play. I like to try to use it because it's kind of fun, but doesn't really see much play. Hearthstone brew, it sucks. It's kind of good if you're playing like an aggro deck and you need a refill, or a deck where your hand cards, if the game is going on for long enough and they become too weak and you want to re-up like that, that's when it's good. But how many decks are you really running that in? And then the avatar of Hearthstone, to open the pack, having your hand be a component that makes it weaker is horrible. It should say that in the card so you know. And shouldn't burn some of the cards. I don't understand. It's pretty weak. I mean, it has a decent high roll sometimes. When it was first out, I was playing with it a lot. But the meta for Whiz Bangs was boring. It sucked. It was just hand buff paladin. The cards they added were just rehashes and toy version. It's a very lame design. The board song is fun. I like that, and the board itself kind of. But like the Toy Store theme, it's lame. Like, it's the 10-year anniversary, and that's the first one you put on. It's not an exciting one. And then the second one, Perils in Paradise. Like, people complain about it, stuff being goofy. The toy shop is goofy, and the Perils in Paradise, I like that one more than I would like the toy shop because it's fun. It's been a joke in the community that they were going to do this for forever, and they finally did it. It was cool enough, but like, it was a healthier meta then, I think. It's still pretty bad, but like, you at least had more cards. There's more stuff, but it became way more aggro. Pirates make everything way too aggro and kind of boring, but it's fine. The mini set was okay, but Marin takes over the meta. He's pretty good. He's fun. People don't like him, but I think he's cool. And then the new one, Great Dark Beyond, it just is stupid. There was stupid cards. They're basically just like killing the game, making people hate it, and it's really bad. So now let's look back at the year of the Wolf. So the sets that were in this is Titans, Festival of Legends, and the Showdown of the Badlands. They all came into the set this year, and then the other ones that were in it already were March of the Lich King, Murder Castle in Athria, and Voyage Up to the Sunken City. And this year, in my opinion, it felt a lot more healthy. Once the year of the Hydra ended and they got rid of all those broken decks, right? They had all the ones from the worst year of Hearthstone ever. So once like Guff and all them, like the stupid Warcraft specific areas, the United Stormwind, once all those things left standard, and then it was left with Sunken City, Denathria, and the Death Knight one. Then it was starting to become healthy, and then Festival of Legends came out. The meta was kind of fun then. It was still, I mean, it's the beginning of the year. It's always a little slower, and new cards, new standard stuff. They had gotten rid of Bran and all those out of standard too, out of the core set, which made it a little healthier too, which Bran took over the meta the year before. But Year of the Wolf, Festival of Legends, they had cool cards. There were different gameplays. It started off pretty good. Then Titans came along. Titans was a lot of fun. Yeah, there were a lot of broken things at first, but having the Colossal and the Titans, it made control players have other options for a while. There was no Reno and anything at the time. A lot more balanced things. Denathrius, all those cards. I mean, Mage, yes, still had that really broken counter minion card, which was super annoying for a secret. And then we had all those other things, but for the most part, the decks had a lot more variety. The Colossals were really fun. They had a lot of different abilities to be used. Astalor was all over every game, which people hate on him, but he was fun because of how many different things you could do with it, and it wasn't like the most broken, right? He was just good because he gave you a couple of things to do throughout the game, and it made it fun. Death Knight was pretty broken at first, and then took over the meta for a while from the year before, but then they kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but it was still healthy enough. Titans had a good stuff. And then the Showdown of the Badlands came. Yogg-Saron warped the meta for when he came out, so that whole debacle was going on. And I guess this guy that reduced things, what the fuck was his name? I forget. But he's the taunt guy, level 11. The polarity of the odd and even, he would change it to for the discounts. he took over the meta. But like, again, every time they have a mini set, it takes over the meta. So then we do, Yogg takes over. They used to make him discount for every spell you cast the game, so you could have a 0 mind control. Pretty broken, but then they reworked him. He got pretty good. He was at 9 cost for a while. He was still strong, but he's fun. He wasn't like crazy broken. Like, people complain that all these classes get control tools, but like, control was having a hard time. Everything was aggro, but this time was pretty balanced. They had the curses from Warlock, you had the more elemental stuff, I think. There was variety. And then the Badlands came out, and instead of killing the meta, it added more stuff. It was healthy, it was fun, everything had a lot of cool variety. You could do a lot of different things before Bran and all that came out. Yeah, Reno was pretty cheap, and he was kind of broken. You could still copy more of your hand. I think you could cast him more back then. But Dredge was that healthy keyword. It allowed players to have more freedom in their crafting, and they could play around with their deck. It like made the games feel fun. There were so many good keywords thrown in that made those games fun. Infuse was fun, even though it wasn't that strong. And then Mana Thirst was also fun, even though it wasn't crazy. It was annoying for some cards, but Showdown the Balance, like, you can make good, fun control decks. Yeah, Reno countered a lot of some of it, but like, you only really cast it at once. People hate on it so much, but like, you can recover. Yeah, you lose a turn, but like, it's a Highlander deck. The whole point is it needs to have a very powerful effect because of the sacrifice you do with only having one copy of each card. Like, the other complements that go with them, the Shaman one was really good, and they had to nerf it. The Paladin one was decent. The Demon Hunter one's really fun, and the Priest one is okay. And then Riastraza, it was a pretty good one. Like, the Dragon Druid at the time was really strong, and yes, Reno countered it, but like, you can play around it. The whole point of Hearthstone is you can figure out your opponent's deck kind of and play around it. Yeah, you have to sometimes play into it because you have no other option, but that's the whole point of a card game, right? Reno was busted though when he was used in non-Reno decks, just like Zephyrs. They use them in these ways that aren't supposed to be used. So then they changed it and it made it better. But people are still complaining. He's nerfed all the way up to 10. He used to be at 9, now he's at 10. Now they're gonna nerf him again. Like, just, he has a few more months. Just let him just ride it out. It's the whole meta's gonna be different next year. People are just too in a rush and don't like fun. So yeah, Year of the Wolf, in my opinion, was the best year in a long time. Because you had fun ones, like the Sunken City was one of the best expansions in a long time. You have Dredge, you have good cards, everything's pretty balanced. There are obviously outliers, there was always going to be stuff that gets nerfed, but they weren't doing what they're doing now, where they just have one-dimensional play. I mean, yes, there was a little bit when Denathrius first came out and Bran, and you discount it, and then you just do a double cast of Denathrius's 20 health damage. So there's that. But Year of the Wolf was good. And then the year before, Year of the Hydra, it was fun, but they obviously had some issues with the game because they have all those broken cards from the year before. It's mostly healthy stuff. People just gave it a hard time. But the Year of the Hydra, it was warped because of the core set and then the cards from the year before. But like the Alterac Valley and stuff like that. But Dredge was fun. Astalor was fun. Like, there was this warrior deck where you could send a couple of copies of Astalor set to the bottom of your deck, discount it, and then cast it a bunch of times, and you get this crazy combo. But I mean, yeah, the wombo combos are still there. But my opinion, Bran Bronzebeard, or the Deep Miner Bran, is the worst Highlander card to be printed ever, because it's just a boring, unimaginative fuck you card, you know? Like, you get this double cast forever. Like, at least with the new Shutter Block, you have to play him and then you do it, and then you can only get it twice, that effect. With Bran, for the rest of the game, it's dumb. The rest of the game effects are dumb. They're bad. And they should try to limit that. Bran shouldn't have been made the way he was. It should have been somebody else. It should have been something else. because the whole point was at the beginning was that it's how Reno and Elise met. It didn't say anything about Bran in that story, and they just decided to throw him in. But yeah, that's kind of the rant. Not really a rant, but more of like the long talk. You're the Hydra, still pretty healthy. Murder Cathal Nathria was awesome. March of the Lich King was awesome. Voyage to the Sunken City, that was awesome. Best set in a long time. And then also, I think the Badlands one was a good set recently, and the Titans, because excavate stuff is fun. It's not too broken, you still have to kind of commit to it. Yes, the Warlock one was broken at first, they had to nerf it. It was stupid to think that giving someone stealing 10 health was a good idea. A lot of weird things get through in this game, but that seems like an obvious weird one. The Snake Oil Salesman, the best card draw for any class. That's a good card. There's just all these other cards that are in it that seem to be very fun. Prison of Yogg-Saron is a cool card. They started using locations and all that, so. But Perils in Paradise was the better one of this year. The only time this year was fun was when they let Prince Renathal come back so it could counter the aggro of the whole meta. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully they start doing something, but it's a pretty failed 10-year anniversary. Horrible sets, horrible gift cards. I guess what I would do if I were them, what I would have done to make it fun is maybe have a bigger core set, or have more retro cards come back, or just have made cool things instead of a toy shop. And like, people say that it's too childish now, but like they had March of the Lich King recently. That was pretty dark. Murder Cathal Nathria, it's a pretty darker setting. I mean, yeah, it's like Clue, but it's a murder mystery. People love that. The Badlands, I think it's cool to have different themes like that. A lot of people disagree, but we already had Angoro, we had the Mean Streets of Kazakhstan, and they made them gangs, like mobsters, instead of doing just like Gadgetzan. So they've been playing with stuff like this forever, and they did One Night in Karazhan. Like, that's a goofy set. To say that they never did goofy stuff before is crazy. But yeah, so that's basically it. Hopefully they do something else for us, but it's pretty shot. They don't do boards anymore. They don't do any of it. Like, it's cool seeing the old boards back in standard, but it's not worth removing a key element of the game. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we'll do another video soon, and I'm going to be talking about the nerfs and buffs, I think, in another video. But yeah, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Out. And well, wait, we gotta go into the odd and even polarity. Sorry. All this, I forget all, but it's a good one.